He was tired and he was hungry, scared but he was proud. He had walked across the desert to escape slavery, and now he's caught between his taskmasters in the waters of the Red Sea. Pharaoh and his armies were coming up fast from behind, and the Israelites were arguing. They were of two minds. Some said we should turn around, go back to what we know. Slavery can't be half as bad as drowning. You gotta take one small step for freedom. One small step. You gotta take one small step for freedom. You gotta take one small step. One small step. You gotta take one small step for freedom. You gotta take one small step for freedom. One step for freedom. You gotta take one small step for freedom. You gotta take you gotta take one step for freedom. Yeah, yeah. One step. You gotta take one small step for freedom. One small step. You gotta take one step for freedom. You gotta take one small step. One small step. You gotta take one small step for freedom. Oh, freedom. Oh, freedom. Oh, freedom over me. And before I'll be a slave, I'll be buried in my grave and go home to my Lord and be free.
Let my people go. I'm Juanita Nelson, and I was a 19-year-old sophomore at Howard University in Washington, D.C. when I was arrested for the first time. The year was 1943. With two other co-eds of the wrong color, I had dared to sit down at a downtown lunch counter and order a cup of hot chocolate. That incident sparked the formation of the Howard Civil Rights Committee, which in the same year succeeded in desegregating the Little Palace Cafe right there on the edge of campus. It took less than a week with the use of leafleting, picketing, and sit-ins.
No segregation, no segregation, no segregation over me. And before I'll be a slave, I'll be buried in my grave and go home to my Lord and be free.
Though active in civil rights campaigns in my hometown of Cleveland, Ohio, I wasn't arrested again until the early 1950s in Cincinnati, Ohio. Members of our communal household and rabbinical students from Hebrew Union College were among the founders of the Cincinnati Committee on Human Relations, an affiliate of CORE, that is, the Congress of Racial Equality. My husband Wally knew some of the rabbinical students from when he helped to organize the Cincinnati Conference on Human Relations a few months earlier. Together, we worked on opening restaurants and theaters and investigating employment opportunities for all people. For 3 years, we concentrated on persuading both the College of Music and the Conservatory to admit students on the basis of merit without regard to color. Our strategies included passing out thousands and thousands of leaflets at concerts, holding a public hearing, and organizing a well-attended music event. That victory under our belts, we tackled Coney Island, the area's amusement park. My second arrest was during that campaign. 4 of us were arrested, including Wally and myself, and CCHR members Harold Goldberg and Marion Bromley. We were all non-cooperating with arrest. The police found it a challenge to get Harold in the police van since he was the heaviest of us. They were certainly relieved when Harold got out on bail. 3 of us languished in jail for 9 hot, steamy days. Coney Island proved a tough undertaking, not completely successful until after the Hebrew Union students and Wally and I had left Cincinnati. But through victory and defeat, I had by that time tried to practice nonviolent direct action in confronting any injustice, joining with others, and in my daily life. I realized that I was both oppressed and oppressor, or as Albert Camus put it, both victim and executioner.
There'll be glory. There'll be glory. There'll be glory over me. And before I be a slave, I'll be buried in my grave and go home to my Lord and be free.
When I got old enough to know myself, to really know I existed, I mean, I was born into this thing and raised in it, you know. I can remember very close in my mind when my mother would have the occasion to send me to this grocery store I told you about that was approximately a mile away, which was the only grocery store in Norwood. She would give me instructions before I leave home and tell me, say, son, now you going up to the store and get this or that for me. Say, now, you pass any white people on your way, say, you get off the sidewalk, give them the sidewalk, you know. You move over, don't challenge white people. And so I was just brought up in that environment. They also had a park. It was about a block from where I was born and raised, or where I lived. And it was known as the White People Park. You know, they had a tennis court there and nice park trees. And blacks wasn't allowed in that park. I mean, we just couldn't go there. And, you know, it's just one of those things coupled with the school thing. You know, like I say, some days that I would be sick and I could hear the school children playing during the lunch hour down at Norwood Elementary School, which was all white. And that's what really stuck in my mind. I say, now, you know, it's a shame that I have to walk so far to school every day when I hear those school children playing, you know. And I said, here I am, a block and a half from elementary school, and I've got to walk 6 or 7 miles to school every day. And it really You know, it really, even now, you know, I can almost hear those kids, out of this white kids out of this elementary school playing, and, you know, the noise and laughing and playing. And I'm at home sick because I guess basically most of it might have been from exposure, walking those 6 and 7 miles to school every day, whether it was raining or not. I had to go. So those are some of the memories that I have of my childhood growing up over in Norwood.
Peace to the ancestors. Yes. Peace to Dr. Cornel West. Yes. Peace to the movement. Yes. We came from the bottom. Ever since they got us, we've been going through these problems. 400 years behind and it's no promise that we gon' never actually be equal, to be honest. It's messed up how they put us in chains, kidnapped our language and changed our names. But when we speak Ebonics, then they call it a shame. They leave us with a couple options, rob or slang, now we locked up again. How much can our skin take? We went from slaves to inmates, carrying the weight of the 50 states. Working your forms, black nannies carrying white babies in their arms. Black men sacrifice their lives in your wars, but you don't never show appreciation here at home. You treat us so damn wrong, you act like you hate my race. The police, they just beat us in the streets like an 808 bass. America, when will you defend my case? You never will, cause your freedom is fake. I'm only living here cause I wanna get paid enough to round up on my family and shake.
Get up, 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 get up. Why you wanna treat me so cold, America? I done gave you all that I own, America. Took me from my mama so young, America. Locked me up and gave me your name.
America, 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 you know the Black Freedom Movement, Constitution, moral conscience. You know we've been trying to redeem the soul of the nation, even as that nation been trying to render us soulless. But we are our soulful people, the blues people. We've been keeping alive the bloodstained banner of democracy. Thank God for those who came before. We shall never forget them and always move forward with grace and dignity.
America, why you wanna treat me so cold, America? I done gave you all that I own, America. Took me from my mama so young, America. Locked me up and gave me your name, America. Why you wanna treat me so cold, America? I done gave you all that I own, America. Took me from my mama so young, America. Locked me up and gave me your name.
I think the biggest thing when I went to college, there were only 6 African Americans there. And there were people there who had never seen African Americans, and they had heard these tales about, you know, how they had tails and how we were animal-like. And I remember this one girl from Nebraska, she would come in my room every morning and just sit. And finally I said, "Why do you come in here every day?" She said, "Just looking." So what are you looking for? So then she proceeded to tell me the stories that her brother, you know, had told her about us. So I sat down and I proceeded to give her a lesson in how we really were, and that, you know, all this was false information. And we couldn't come home on holidays because it was just too far and too expensive. So she invited us, me and a girlfriend of mine, to go visit her family at Thanksgiving. So anyway, we kept asking her, "Are you sure your parents know about us, and are they ready for us to come?" And she said yes. So when we got to her house, there were people lined up on both sides of the street. And I'm looking down the street, "Did they have an accident? What happened?" And she laughed, and she said, "They're waiting to see you." And I said, "For what?" They said, "They have never seen a black person before." So I said, "Okay." Then we got out of the car and we went into the house, and as many people that could followed us into the house and just stood all around the walls, and they looked and they asked questions. And I just tried to be honest. They wanted to know about my hair, and my girlfriend is much browner than I am, so they wanted to know why we look different. So I just spent a lot of time educating them to my humanness and our differences and how we're all the same.
There's no doubt that 9/11 is a turning point, a pivotal moment in the history of this nation, in the history of this empire. Unsafe, unprotected, subject to random violence and hated. Yet we also know that in the midst of the American past and present, there's the black people who have always felt unsafe, unprotected, subject to random violence, and hated. And to be in America is to be unsafe, unprotected, subject to random violence, and hated. Since 9/11, the whole nation has been raised. A blues nation must now learn from a blues people how to deal with such conditions. And we turn to the spiritual and moral wisdom of Emmett Till's mother. Emmett Till was a young brother who was murdered by white supremacists in Mississippi in August of 1955. Emmett Till's mother brought Brother Emmett back to Chicago and put his body on display. Kept the casket open. His head was 5 times the size of his ordinary head. She stepped to the lectern and said to the world, I don't have a minute to hate. I'll pursue justice for the rest of my life. What insight, what wisdom. Listen, America. Listen to your blues people. Listen to Emmett Till's mother.
They also had a curfew for black. If you were just a run-of-the-mill black, you had your curfew was at 9:30. If you were what they call educated black, you could stay out till 10:30. If you stayed out beyond 10:30, you had to have a written statement from the chief of police. And the reason I know this is true is when I was working at Boggs Academy, the principal of Waynesboro High School had a party at his house one night, and they invited the teachers from Boggs Academy. And so we went to his house. We played bridge and some other table games and whatnot. But we were there past 10:30, He had his permit, and he had all of our names on that permit. And they were riding, the policemen, 2 cars, were riding past there at around 11:15 when we got ready to go back to Boggs. And one car followed us until we were out of the city limits of Waynesboro. They surely did. And, it was just, and of course what, they would fine people who were out beyond their curfew. They would fine them And they took that money, and they said they were taking that money to build a teacher's cottage for the white teachers who taught at the white school there. Because a lot of those teachers didn't live in Waynesboro. They lived in Augusta. And they wanted to entice the teachers to live in Waynesboro. So they took that money that they got from curfew, put it toward the building of the teacherage for the whites. And it's still standing there.